Hello everyone, welcome to Narayana IAS. I am Akhil Rajratnam. For today's daily news analysis, I have taken yesterday's newspaper since today we don't have any edition of Hindu or Indian Express available. So these are some of the important topics from yesterday's newspaper. So first we will be discussing regarding the tackling the issue of adjournment. So this will be we will be discussing regarding the judicial reforms. Second one is regarding the SC ruling on child marriage. We will be discussing what are the legal provisions of child marriage, what was the specific thing which SE has mentioned regarding this, and also third one regarding economy only, core sector output slips to a 10-month low. So we'll be discussing what is core sector and all this technical stuff we'll be discussing. And also I've taken two important prelim snippets also. One is the asset recovery network and another one is regarding the WWF's index. So these are the topics for today. So without further delay, let's move on to the first topic. So this was an editorial in Hindu. This is talking regarding the judicial reforms only. So obviously judicial reforms only coming under the GS paper 2 only, functioning of judiciary. Functioning of judiciary, GS paper 2. This was written by an advocate from High Court of Telangana only. So these type of judicial the judicial reform questions were asked in UPSC mains examination. So this was one such a question. Critically examine the Supreme Court's judgment of National Judicial Appointments Commission Act 2014 with reference to appointment of judges of Higher Judiciary of India. So this is regarding an act which was passed by the Parliament in 2014. So let's see what is actually the context of this particular topic. Recently, President of India Draupadi Murmu highlighted the need to address the issue of judicial adjournments that lead to case backlog. So she was attending a conference in New Delhi. She was attending a national conference on district judiciary. National conference on district judiciary. So at that time only she said that there are adjournments in courts at all levels and as well as case backlog. So what do you mean by adjournments? Adjournment is basically postponing the case. Adjournment is basically postponing the case to a later date. What about case backlogs? If you are postponing, what will happen? Again, this will pile up. So this piling up of these cases, that is known as case backlog. So these are the issues, adjournment, and again that is leading to the case backlog. So this was the issue highlighted by our President of India. And she said that this is actually affecting mostly the rural population as well as the poor population. So now let's see what is the statistics of these delays or pendency in our courts. We'll start with the High Court only. So this is a very important website. This is NJDG, that is National Judicial Data Grid. So if you go to this website, you will be getting the real-time data. This, for example, this is the data which I have taken from today, 1st November 2024. So here you can see that how many cases are pending. Every day they will be updating. So how many cases are pending in all high courts in India? Around 60 lakh cases. Around 60 lakh cases are pending in India, and in which around 76.43 cases they are more than 1 year old. 73.46 cases, they are a percentage of cases they are more than 1 year old, and we have around 60 lakh 54,750 cases in India, that too in high courts alone. So this is the data which was published by NJDG, National Judicial Data Grid. And if you take the statistics of Supreme Court, we have Supreme Court, High Court and the subordinate court, we have around 4.5 crores. We have around 4.5 crores. This is the data at all levels. Supreme Court, High Courts and subordinate court, we have 4.5 crores of pending cases are there. This is a very alarming rate. So that only the President also highlighted in her speech. So again, so this is one of the major issue, pending cases. And another important issue which so the judiciary is facing is the vacancy in the courts. Vacancy in the court, especially in the high courts only. So this is actually an answer given by the Minister of Law and Justice, Independent Minister of Law and Justice, for a question which was asked in the Parliament. So Arjun Ram Meghawal. So here you can see the what is the case with High Court. The total sanctioned strength of High Court is 1,114 judges. 1,114 judges. So out of which only 783 judges are working. 783 judges are working means 331 post is actually vacant. So of the total strength or total sanction strength of 1114 judges, only 783 only we have. So 300 judges we don't have in India. So that is a very alarming rate. That is around 30%. 30% of the total sanction strength is actually vacant. This is a very alarming issue. So that is one of the major reasons for the pendency in the court. But if you come to Supreme Court, you can see that there is no vacancy. The total number of judges in Supreme Court, sanction strength in Supreme Court is 34. As of now, it is 34. So Supreme Court is actually working in its full capacity. 34 judges are. So there is no issue of vacancy in Supreme Court, unlike High Court. But here another important issue is happening, that is they are getting petitions under Article 136. So what is Article 136? This is SPL. SPL, or we call it a special leave petition. We call it a special leave petition. So what do you mean by special leave petition? This is actually the power of SC to review cases that may not strictly fall under the ordinary appellate jurisdiction. So that is Article 136. So based on this, Supreme Court is getting a lot of cases, and they are not able to handle all these cases. So this is actually the issue of backlog in Supreme Court and not vacancy. So that is one observation. Another important factor is the judge to population ratio. Judge to population ratio means, for example, we have 1 million people. We have 1 million people. For 1 million people, we have only 21 judges. For 1 million people, we have only 21 judges. There was a report by the Law Commission. That was a 120th report by the Law Commission. 120th report by the Law Commission. These facts you can actually use for your answers. It's answer writing itself. So 120th report by the Law Commission said that there should be at least 50. There should be at least 50 judges per 1 million. There should be at least 50 judges per 50 judges per 1 million of the population. So this was the observation which the Law Commission did in its 120th report. So we are much far from the required strength. So why these issues are actually happening? Why this pendency is actually happening? One is frequent adjournment. I already mentioned what is adjournment. Adjournment means postponing of the case. Postponing of the case, that is adjournment. Postponing of the case. So mostly it will be due to the procedural request and lack of preparation. The advocates will be coming in. They'll be saying that these files are not there, so let's postpone the case. So this kind of issues that is actually happening. Again, judges will be postponing. Again, during the next sitting also, again the same thing will be happening. So this is a very important issue. Take the example of Ayodhya case. You know, when this Ayodhya case started after the destruction of Babri Masjid, so that happened, and the verdict came in 2019 only. The verdict came in 2019 only. By that time, many of the petitioners died. Petitioners as well as even some of the accused also died. So that is actually the alarming situation in India. Another thing is the overloaded judicial work. Overloaded judicial work means judges will be managing multiple legal responsibilities in the same day. The same judge will be hearing a civil case in the morning, and again he will be going and hearing a criminal case in the maybe in the afternoon or evening session. And also one judge will be hearing this bail pleas will be there, and also remands will be there, trials will be there. So everything, they are kind of burdened with many work. So that is also issue. So what is actually the implication of this? They are not getting time to study a case. So this will be affecting the quality of the judgment. So that is also another issue. Another problem is legislative burden without judicial impact assessment. So what do you mean by judicial impact assessment? We have environment impact assessment, right? Before making a law itself, we should ensure that it is environment friendly, that is not affecting the environment. So same way, we have to ensure that judicial impact assessment should also be there. That is, for example, if I'm randomly framing a law, take the example of RTI itself. When RTI was created, many loopholes were there. So whenever a loophole is there, people will be going to the court, right? So if many loopholes are there, they'll be directly, even for minor issues also, they'll be going to the court. So that will be burdening the court, and also maybe later they'll be changing it with some amendment, but still at that time also the case will be in the court. So this is a very serious issue. So new laws enacted without assessing the additional case burden. So we have to consider judicial impact assessment also. Another thing is lack of adequate infrastructure. Lack of adequate infrastructure, especially in the rural areas. A very good example will be during COVID-19 pandemic. During COVID-19 pandemic, many courts shifted to this video conferencing. So internet connection, rural areas had limitation in internet connection. That was one reason. So even if you give internet connection also, people were not trained. Even the people in the top judiciary, they were not trained to how to deal with all the Zoom or video conferencing and all this. So that to also reduce the pace in which the case is actually moving. So that issue is also there. Another thing is inadequate witness availability. Mostly the cases will be postponed because the witness won't be available. So one day witness won't be available, case will be postponed. So this will be happening again. And also sometimes threats will also be, witness has to face the threats also. For example, take this case of Jessica Lal murder case. Jessica Lal, a very famous case. Jessica Lal murder case, around 32 of these victims became hostile. 32 of the victims became hostile. So these kind of issues are also there. So that is also increasing the pendency of the case. Now let's see what are the implications of these delays. What are the implications of these delays? One is mostly the people who will be affected are from the marginalized population. Marginalized population. Very good example will be Narmada project. Very good example will be the Narmada project, Narmada dam issue which happened. So they actually filed a complaint in 1969. 1969 and Narmada Water Disputes Tribunal. Narmada Water Disputes Tribunal. So this tribunal was established in 1969 and the final award was given in 1979. 1979. So these people, especially from this the poor strata of the society, they had to go to the court. They had to go to the court for this 10 long years. Okay, so they won't be having the finances. They won't be having the finances. Even justice delayed is also justice denied. So that is a point here. And also another thing is economic impact. Economic impact in the sense extended case pendency affects the business operation. Very good example will be 2G spectrum case. 2G spectrum case. So technology is growing like anything. Technology is growing like anything. So in these kind of cases, business related cases, technical cases and all, if it is getting delayed means the time it will be taken for implementing that technology, that will also be very much, that will also be delayed. So that is also one major issue. Another thing is mental and physical strain on the judges. This is a point which is mostly overlooked. So overloaded schedules and multifaceted responsibility are increasing the mental and physical strain on the judges. A very best example will be Allahabad court. There was a report recently like Allahabad court was actually having 50% vacancy. 50% vacancy, and even the judges were judges had to work till 7 to 8 o'clock in the night itself to make sure that at least some of the cases are being heard. Okay, so that is also very important alarming issue. Another one is erosion of the public trust in judicial system. So this persistent delays in delivering timely justice weaken the public confidence. Sometimes they will go for the protest also. Very good example will be Nirbhaya case, Nirbhaya rape case, which happened in 2012. So again, many people people know who is actually the accused, and it was also kind of confirmed. But still, the judicial the delays which happened in the judicial system, that was delaying it, and almost 7 years it took, 7-8 years it took to finally finally deliver justice. Some of the examples other than some of the examples, Nirbhaya case I have already mentioned. So 2012 only, the case happened in 2012 only, and finally the accused was hanged in 2020 only. So this much delay was there. And also the Salem Advocate Bar Association, this case is very important. Why? Because this case itself addressed the delays in judicial system only, and in this case only something known as JIA we have already mentioned, Judicial impact assessment. Judicial impact assessment came at in this particular case only. It was examining what are the flaws in this policy making, what are the flaws in this laws which is making this adjournments and all. Another one is the coal scam of 2012. Coal scam of 2012. Again, this also take around a decade to settle. Why? Because it's a high profile case. Around the CBI filed the case around against around 5 companies, and around 20 high profile directors were also there, and obviously many people from the government were also part of it. So these kind of issues also delays this judicial process. Next, let's see what are some of the solutions which we can get for this. One is, like I've said, for every legislation there should be a judicial impact assessment. Take RTA itself. If RTA was properly planned, or maybe GST itself, if these were properly planned, even before implementing itself, these were properly planned, whether they have to check whether there is any loophole in this. So if that planning is happening, means people won't be going to the courts for even minor issues. So that has to be compulsorily implemented. Another one we have already mentioned, judge to population ratio. As of now, it is 21 per million. So it has to be increased to at least 50 per million. It has to be increased to at least 50 per million. So this is another thing which can reduce the delays. Increase the judge to population ratio and decrease the vacancy in the courts. Even you can quote the report also, 120th Law Commission report. Another thing is, we have to utilize the mediation and ADR. We have to use the mediation and ADR, especially for the family cases. Family cases. What do you mean by ADR? ADR stands for alternate dispute resolution. ADR stands for alternate dispute resolution. So if you are opting for alternate dispute resolution, it won't be going to the court, or maybe after court, after to a certain the court also, you can bring that back to the ADR and mediate, so that the parties can have a settlement between themselves. So that will also reduce the pendency in the courts. Even the mediation and conciliation project was also there, that was initiated by the Supreme Court, that also recommended this mediation process only. Another one is technology and infrastructure upgrade. For example, we have, if there is an option to hear the witness through video conferencing and all, that kind of thing should be implemented. So technology upgradation should also be done, and also proper training should also be there. People who are in the judiciary and all, sometimes they won't be much aware of this technology and all, so that also has to be reduced. Obviously, vacancies has to be filled. Vacancies like Allahabad, even Bombay Court and all, so vacancies are there, so that should be reduced. Limit the judicial overload. Judges should be given more time to study about the case, so that once a judge is being assigned to a case, means he or she should not be overburdened with many other cases, so that he can devote some time to study that particular case. Also, this one is also important, witness protection and accessibility. I have already mentioned the Jessica Lal case, where 32 of the witnesses became hostile, mainly due to threat only. And another important case is Asaram Bapu trial. So there also, Asaram Bapu trial. So there also, even the witness had faced many of the threats. So these things should not happen. So this will also reduce the pendency of cases in the court. Alright, so let's move on to another important topic. This is regarding the child marriage only. Recently, the context is, so recently the Supreme Court in the Society of Enlightenment and Voluntary Action, in that case, said that from penalizing offenders, we have to also address the harm met out to the victim. It should not be punishment alone, but we have to address the harm which has been met out to victim. So that is what the court said. So let's see a let's see a question which was asked in this regard. Empowering women is the key to control the population growth. So these kind of questions are very much important in the Indian society part, GS paper 1, Indian society, and sometimes in the social justice part also. So here we will be discussing what are the provisions of the child marriage, what are the legal provisions, what are the constitutional provisions, and regarding this particular case also. All right, first let's see the statistics regarding child marriage in India. So this was a very important report, National Family Health Survey report. It was conducted in 2019, 2021. So it is said that around 23.3% of the women age 20 to 24, they were married before the age of 18. So before the age of 18 means they were technically minors only. Technically minors only. So 23.3% of the women were married before the age of 18. Okay, but still, if you take the 2005-2006 exam, take the 2005. Let's see what are the laws and the legal provisions which are applicable regarding the child marriage in India. All right, so this is these are the legal provisions in India which are talking regarding child marriage. One is the main act is Prohibition of Child Marriages Act 2006 PCMA. So one of the important provisions of this act is this defines a child. This defines a child. If it's a male, if it's a male, he should be less than 21. If he is less than 21, he is a child. For a girl, it should be less than 18. So, if a boy, he should be less than 21 only, and if it's a girl, it should be less than 18 only. So basically, this prohibition of child marriage defines child like this. For every act, the child definition will be different. For example, sometimes we consider for voting and all, the person, whether it be a male or whether it be a female, yeah, he or she has crossed 18 means we'll be considering it as adult only. But here it is different. Here the male is 21. Here, here the child is less than 21 for male and should be less than 18 for a girl. So what is this act doing? It is actually criminalizing solemnization, promotion and participation in child marriage. Even it will be having penalties as well as often penalties for offenders will also be. So what do you mean by solemnization? Solemnization means, for example, if a priest is conducting the wedding ceremony of a minor for underage children, whether it be for male it will be less than 21 and girls it will be less than 18. So if a priest is doing that, I'm just giving an example only. So if priest is doing that, then that is also not possible and he can be punished. Another one is promotion. So parents or relatives, they will be arranging this child marriage. So they can also be arrested according to this particular law. Another one is participating. Even I have been called for a child marriage. I've been called and I know that that is actually a child marriage. Then I can also be arrested based on this particular act. Okay. Also, another important act is POXO, Protection of Children from Sexual Offenders Act, POXO. So this criminalizes sexual activities with minors, including within child marriages. Minor means what? Here minor means less than 18 years old. If you are less than 18 years old, even if he or she is in marriage, then also it can be criminalized. Even if it is a child marriage, the marriage is already done and the sexual activity is done, then also it can be criminalized. So that is what POXO is saying. Another important law is Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, which was recently only it was enacted. So that also addresses especially the sections 108, especially sections 108 and section 109. So these are the sections which are addressing this child marriages. It will be criminalizing this one. Now solemnization, promotion and participation, and also section 109 will be penalizing it. Okay. So these are the laws. Now let's see the constitutional provisions associated with child marriage. Alright, so constitutional provision, now first one is Article 14 only, right to equality. Right to equality, how right to equality is coming here? Denying the equal protection by allowing discriminatory practices. So that is right to equality. Article 15 again, this is Article 15 is talking about discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex or place of birth. Here it is based on sex only. So that is gender discrimination. That is also coming in Article 50. Next one is Article 21. Article 21, again it is obvious only, right to life and personal liberty, compromising the right and personal liberty of that by forcing into a premature marriage. So that is Article 21, and obviously Article 21A will also be coming if the person is less in falling in between 6 to 14, and again he is being forced for a marriage, means his compulsory education will be compromised. So that is also, that provision also we can include here. Now let's see some of the important cases regarding child marriage. One is Independent Thought was Union of India. Supreme Court ruled that sexual intercourse with a minor wife aged between 15 and 18 years is a rape. So this is actually section 375. Section 375. It was in 2017. Obviously, it will be IPC, Indian Penal Code, section 370 of the Indian Penal Code. This is the case which we are talking now. This was in the news. Supreme Court said that there should be comprehensive guidelines to enhance the enforcement of PCMA, Prevention of Child Marriage Act. So what do you mean by comprehensive guidelines? It should be even healthcare facilities should be there, rehabilitation should be there, education system should be there. So this kind of, it should be addressing all these things. So that is what the court said in the very recent case. So what are the concerns? One is victim vulnerability, concerns about child marriage, the criminal action to tackle child marriage. So one is prosecuting the family members. Prosecuting the family members means the child bride will be isolated without any support. So that is the major issue here. Another one is access to services. It will be deterring the families from seeking essential health and social services. For example, if a girl is less than 18 and she is getting pregnant means they will be avoiding the pregnancy care in hospital. Why? Because it is not legal. So that will be an issue. That is also, access to service is also affected. Another one is very complex. The complex reality is like minors enter marriage to voluntarily escape the adverse condition. For example, if that girl was in a abusive house means somehow she want to get out of that house. So she will be opting for a marriage. So but still the root cause is not understood or addressed. So that is the major issue here. Root causes, that abusive family should be kept out of that abusive family. So what all things uh, the court said in this particular case, enlightenment and voluntary action was union of India and significant. So the court wanted to appoint CMPO. CMPO means Child Marriage and Prohibition Officer. Child Marriage Prohibition Officers, that is CMPOs. Also support system for the victims. Again, like I've already mentioned, it should be comprehensive support. What do you mean by comprehensive support? It should be health should be there, education should be there, even rehabilitation should be there. These things will be coming under the comprehensive support. And also it is not about the victims alone. It should be the it is actually the role of society is also very important. So there should be awareness campaigns like why we should not have child marriages, how it will be affecting the mental health of girls, and also these kind of awareness campaigns should also be there. So that is what the court said in this particular case. Alright, next let's move on to another topic. Core sector output slips to 10-month low in September, growth anxieties deepen. So this is a very important topic in GS3, Indian economy GS3. So we'll be discussing what is this core sector and what is IIP, what is ICP. All these things we'll be discussing in this year. So let's see a previous year question. In the index of 8 core industries, which one of the following is given the highest weight? Coal production, electricity generation, fertilizer production, steel production. So which one is given the highest weight? So the context I have already mentioned. There is a decline in India's core sector output, which fell to a 10-month low in September, with the index of core industries at 154.8, making a slight 0.83 drop from August. These terms we'll be discussing in detail. So it was here. So from here it has actually dipped to here. From here it has dipped to here. So that you can see ICP. Alright, so let's understand what is this core sector. So basically core sector means the core, it will be comprising of 8 industries. Core sector comprises of 8 industries. They are crude oil, natural gas, refinery products, fertilizers, steel, cement and electricity. So why they are known as core? Because they form the backbone of the industrial as well as economic infrastructure in India. So that is why they are known as the core sector: coal, crude oil, natural gas, refinery product, fertilizers, steel, cement and electricity, and they represent 40% of India's index of industrial production. So what do you mean by index of industrial production? This is actually a measure only, a metric only, that shows the growth rate and performance of various sectors. Growth rate and performance of various sectors, especially in 3 sectors only. One is manufacturing, mining and electricity. Manufacturing, mining and electricity. Manufacturing, mining and electricity. So in this manufacturing, mining and electricity, 40% is coming from the core sectors, these 8 sectors. Okay, so that is regarding IIP. So who releases IIP? IIP is released by NSO, National Statistical Office, National Statistical Office in Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, SPI. So National Statistical Office under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, they will be releasing the IIP. There is also a base year for all these indexes, whether it be CPI, WPI and all. There will be base year also. Here the base year will be 2011-12. 2011-12. This is the base year of this core sector. Okay, next one, let's see the overall performance, annual as well as monthly performance. So in September, the core sector output declined by 0.86 from August, marking a 10-month low at 154.8 on index of core industry. So what is this index of core industry? So this is actually the measure of these 8 core industries. Earlier we were talking about mining, electricity and manufacturing only. In that it is 40%. So here they are specifically talking about the core industries only. Specifically talking about the core industries, they will be measuring the performance of these 8 industries. So this is released by DPIIT. This is released by DPIIT, which is coming under the Ministry of Commerce. DPIIT coming under the Ministry of Commerce, Department for Promotion of Industrial and Internal Trade. Department for Promotion of Industrial Trade. So DPIIT, which is coming under Ministry of Commerce. So they will be releasing this particular metric. So why this performance was low? One factor is monsoon. Monsoon disruptions were there, mainly due to El Nino and all. Monsoon disruptions, it was not uniform. Some areas it was monsoon was more, some areas it was very less. So so that affected badly, and also automotive sector also had some issues. You know what is the problem with automotive sector? One is, recently we have rolled out the BS6 norms. BS6 norms were rolled out, and what was the problem with BS6 norms? BS6 norms actually increase the price of the vehicle. So obviously if the price of the vehicles are more, demand will be less, and also we are still suffering from the COVID pandemic. The impact which COVID pandemic had, that we are still suffering. So that is also one important reason. So these are the sector specific trend. This is coal only. So coal actually showed an increase of 9.8, showed the highest growth with a year-on-year increase of 9.8. So why coal is showing a higher growth? Because there is a higher energy demand. There is a higher energy demand. So that is why the coal is showing a growth. But still, electricity and steel, they actually struggle. Why they struggle? One I've already mentioned. There is actually problem with the automotive sector, and also electricity was also steel sector was also affected. But still, cement actually grew at 7.1% because they were demand in the construction sector. So this is some of the sector specific trends in this area. Alright, let's move on to another topic. So now we will be discussing some of the prelim snippets. Some terms will be explained. Okay, so this was the news. India joins the steering committee of asset recovery network. So we'll be discussing what is this asset recovery network, what is India's role in that. So asset recovery interagency network Asia Pacific, ARN-AP. So what is this asset recovery interagency network Asia Pacific? So this is actually a network that facilitates cooperation among law enforcement agencies to trace, freeze, confiscate and recover assets linked to criminal activities. Okay, so basically this is related to financial crimes only. For example, so what is the advantage of this? This is actually part of the global Camden asset recovery interagency network. So, okay, so this is a global asset recovery interagency. So in this, many other agencies are there in the Asia Pacific region. In the Asia Pacific region, we have ARIN-AP, and also in the Europe we have Europol. Europol, but this is actually a global network. So this is part of CARIN. Again, this is also part of CARIN. Like that, many agencies are part of CARIN. Again, this CARIN also works mainly based on Europol, but it is actually a global organization. So what is the advantage you will be getting if one country is part of this? That is, for example, if somebody is doing some financial fraud in India, and he is going to some other place, and uh, he'll be a fugitive there. So at that time, what we can do is that we can coordinate with the law enforcement agencies in that country, and we will be able to catch that person. So that is the purpose of this. And in India, it is represented by the Directorate of Enforcement, that is ED. So ED is dealing with the financial crimes in India, enforcing economic laws as well as financial crimes. That is the purpose of ED. So ED has joined ARN AP steering committee, and 2026 it will be India will be assuming the presidency also. So that is the significance of it, asset recovery interagency network. Okay. All right. Next news was WWF 75% wildlife decline report. So what it does and what doesn't mean. So here we'll be discussing what is WWF and what is this Living Planet Index report. So what is WWF? WWF is an organization which is founded in 1961 and it is active in nearly 100 countries including India. So the mission is to protect biodiversity, promote sustainable resource use and reduce the pollution. So basically environment conservation activities on a global scale. That is the purpose of WWF or World Wild Fund. You might have seen the logo, panda logo. So what is this living planet index? So it will be measuring the state of global biodiversity by tracking population trends of vertebrate species across terrestrial, freshwater and marine habitat. So all the biosphere in the world. So that they will be discussing. So this is actually a metric which was developed by WWF, not just WWF, but in association with Zoological Society of London. Zoological Society of London. So they have combined and made this metric to measure the state of global biodiversity. Okay, so LPI provides insights into health of the planet ecosystem and highlight the areas where conservation efforts are needed. For example, there is a significant decline. A significant decline in the population of some freshwater species in a river. So at that time, it will be highlighted in this particular report. So that governments or maybe the global community themselves can come up with conservation efforts, conservation measures to for improving that particular species. So that is the purpose of this Living Planet Index. So let's see what are the key findings in the 2024 report. So they are saying that there is a decline of 85% decline in the freshwater species, 56% decline in the marine species, 69% decline in the terrestrial species, and overall if you take the regional region, 95% regional decline in the wildlife population in Latin America and Caribbean region alone. So this is what the report is saying. Okay, so these are the key findings of the report. So now let's move on to some of the questions, practice questions. So you can go to our website navigator.narayana So there one tab will be there, current affairs tab will be there. So there you'll be getting the daily prelims quiz will be there, and here you can go to the date. So today's date, we have taken yesterday's newspaper only, but still it will be published in today. So you can go there and you can access the questions. Previous day's questions are also there. Alright, first question, what is a current base year for calculation of IIP, Index of Industrial Production in India? I have already mentioned, this is a very direct question only, 2011, 2012. So this is the current base year for the calculation of Index of Industrial Production. Alright, next question, what is the current base, with reference to laws related to child marriage in India, consider the following statement. Under Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006, a child is defined as a male under 21 years of age. Child means male under 21 years of age and female under 18 years of age. I have already mentioned it, like in every act the definitions will be different. The definition of child will be different. Here also it is different. So here it is male 21 years of age and female 18 years of age. I have already mentioned that this is correct only. Next one, Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, POCSO, criminalize sexual activities minor even within the context of a child marriage. So even if that girl is married also, it is criminalizing the sexual activities with that person. Okay, so both the statements are correct. So the correct answer is C, both 1 and 2. That is a correct answer. Now let's see a mains practice question. Again, we have mains practice question also in our website only. You can go to that particular date and click on that. So, judicial delays in India hinder access to justice, especially for marginalized youth. Analyze the factors causing delays and suggest viable solution. Okay. So, again talking regarding judicial reforms only. So, we can start by briefly introducing the what are the, with some statistics. You can even use the law commission report, or even this also, the president's recent call, what she did in the during the Delhi meet, that you can quote here and you can give a good introduction. So in the body you can give the statistics, what is the statistics of the pendency in high courts, how many cases are there. You can go to that site itself, we have the official site, you can use official statistics, and why statistics of pendency you can mention. And obviously you can, next we can go to the cause of the delays, judges shortage is there, frequent adjournments are there, why they are adjourning it, and judicial workload is also there, and also that also you can mention some statistics. Okay, infrastructure gap, lack of technology. And next one, implication. What are the implication? Access of marginalized group, especially that Narmada project and all you can quote, and also judicial impact assessment also you can mention that. Solution will be judicial impact assessment, increasing the judge strength, mechanisms like mediation and alternate dispute resolution that can be done. More technology, education should be done, witness process, protection, Jessica Lal case and all you can quote. After that you can give a very positive conclusion that we for timely justice, if we are doing all these things, then tendency will be reduced and people will be more um, people will have more trust in the judicial system. So like that way you can conclude this. Okay. All right, so before winding up, let me introduce you to some of our products. So this is the foundation course which we are conducting for those who have passed the 10th standard. So along with preparing for their inter examinations, you can we'll make you prepared for the civil service also. This is a basic course, so we'll be mostly using the NCERT as a foundation. Next one, regarding the GS advanced course, this will be a little more advanced courses which we are providing for those who have already passed the 12th standard, and along with the degree preparation you can opt for this course, and we will be giving you more advanced, along with the basics we will be giving you more advanced, so that by the end of your academic year, once your degree studies is over, at that time as well you will be able to attend, we will be prepared for attending the civil services examination. So we have products like daily newspaper read, where we will be picking up the articles which are very much relevant for your exam point of view, and we'll be publishing it as a PDF, so you can look that articles and it will make your life easier, preparation easier, so that you can prepare that articles alone. Sorting will be easier. And also we have products like Samva, where we'll be bringing in bureaucrats, people who are in the system, and also toppers also will be bringing in. We'll be having discussions, so their suggestions also will help you to prepare better. All right, so that's it. So admissions are open. So if you are interested, you can opt for whichever campus which is suitable for you. We have campus at Hyderabad, Vijayawada, as well as Nellore. So whichever campus is suitable for you, you can call these numbers and take admission. So that's all for today. Daily news analysis. Thank you.